want to do something fun for the intro, but because we've been gone for so long. But I think that'll do. So my name's Mike, and and I'm joined by Josh. And this is Don't Get Your Hopes Up, and we've had a very, very, very busy month.
Yes.
And we got a lot of shit to talk about. Holy crap! A lot of stuff has happened. It's been in November. Like every November of every year, my wife's like, "Why are you up every morning until?" I say that like she's being like a dick to me, but she's not. She's like, she's asking me, "Why are you up until like?"
Why are you up every morning?
Every single night, 4 a.m. coming to bed. And I was like, because it's November, and that's the way every November is. Every game comes out in November. Every big announcement happens in November. Everything happens in Novembers.
Yeah. And then, like, we actually get a break on the holidays. Like, that, having to deal with things like Christmas and giving gifts to the families and traveling and all that stuff. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
Like, that's when we get to sit back and go, before we get back to it in January when everything that didn't think it was good enough to come out in November comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, like, so obviously we just to kind of go through a list here, we had BlizzCon.
Yeah.
We had Fallout 4.
Yeah.
We had Planets and Space Engineers. BlizzCon itself, we could break down into a billion pieces, but we'll just say BlizzCon first. And then
Hashtag BlizzCon.
We had Rise of the Tomb Raider came out, and we also had oh Christ, something else. Paladins. Paladins came out like yesterday. It's like every day there's something new, right? And then Overwatch, you guys had a new set of heroes that were released. It was like it's so much, and then another new Hearthstone expansion. See, it just doesn't stop.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's start with BlizzCon because you were there, I think, and I was.
Yeah.
I was there.
Sorry, I suddenly had a sneezing fit and had to mute myself for a second.
Oh, you shouldn't do that.
I'm gonna keep sneezing for a while now.
Okay, go for it.
Go, just talk amongst yourselves.
No problem. Me, how did you like BlizzCon? I quite enjoyed it. Thank you for asking. And what about yourself? Oh, well, I thought it was great. I got to hang out with a ton of people, got to drink, not as much as I had hoped I could because I couldn't really talk a lot. Oh, really? Why is that? Well, because, I was sick and, the last thing to go when you're sick and you're recovering is pretty much your voice. And so I was pretty much just effed the entire time I was at BlizzCon, and I was talking to people and they're like, "Hey, are you Mike B?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Oh, no, you're not. Sorry, I got the wrong guy." And that was pretty much the way it went. So, a lot of cool stuff happened.
I've been back for like 2 minutes now, by the way. I just thought this was entertaining.
Let's see how long he goes.
Yeah. Yeah, you were like dead at BlizzCon like the entire time.
I wasn't
like actually dead.
I wasn't like even sick. Like I was done being sick by Wednesday. And then Thursday, I drive up there with this guy who I literally just met, and he had to go to BlizzCon. He's like, "Yeah, you want to split we were going to split the trip, the gas, and also split the hotel room." And I was like, "Cool, yeah, save money. Zam's not paying for it now, so I got to save some money somewhere." And I was like, I just met this guy, and I was like, he seems all right. He says he's a scientist, which would make him, I guess, he's in like biological science or something like that. I don't know. And basically, I was like, he's smart, but he could also kill me and hide my body probably in a way that I couldn't even think of. So,
and he may be kidnapping you for an experiment.
Yeah.
He's not actually even going to BlizzCon.
And so when we actually got there, it was kind of funny. Like, he gets on the phone to call his buddies who were there, and he's like, "Hey, man, yeah, we just arrived. You totally missed a cool ride. Turns out the guy I rode with, totally not a serial killer. Woohoo!"
Hooray! Good job.
And I was thinking
done.
the same thing, so that was good.
Well done.
Yes. But the event itself, though, was pretty good.
Yeah. As per usual, I was kind of locked up in the esports area for basically the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still good. What I got to see was pretty cool. Apparently, there were a bunch of World of Warcraft panels in which the developers talked about a bunch of stuff that I should probably go and watch on the virtual ticket at some point. So I have any idea what it was they talked about.
What are they saying about my game? Okay, let's just see here.
It's kind of funny, like, I don't remember who it was I was talking to, but it was a week or so ago. Like, I was talking to somebody about something in the game, and I was like, actually, It was we were interviewing somebody for a position on my team at work, and like I started talking about something. I was like, wait a second, I don't actually know if we've talked about this publicly or not. So I like just stopped and went, I'm just gonna back off from that one. We'll just leave that one alone.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I bet there's a lot of confusion. I mean, you guys have a bunch of stuff that are. It's like you basically have this gigantic list of things you're going to announce, but you also have a list of things that you're not quite ready to announce.
Yeah,
and they're pretty much probably on like the same whiteboard divided by a line.
Yeah, and
like a blue whiteboard marker line.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, it's like it's actually really, really difficult sometimes for me. Like I almost prefer when I don't know about upcoming stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Like obviously I need to for my job because I need to be able to go, whoa, hang on guys, you should probably not do that. That's a terrible idea. But in some cases, not in all cases, do I even have the opportunity to know stuff ahead of time. But when I do, it's actually really difficult sometimes to keep track of, like, especially when there's a current like PTR or beta or anything along those lines. I'm like, okay, what's currently on live servers? What's currently in beta? What have we announced that's going to be in beta? And what is going to be in beta that we haven't announced yet? What have we announced that isn't going to be in beta? And what have we not announced that isn't going to be in beta because it's so far off? Like, trying to keep track. Like, it used to be what's in beta, what's been announced, what's on live. And that was all I had to keep track of.
Yep.
And that's fairly easy. But now there's all these different combinations of, like, is this public? Is this not public? Is this in the next build? Is this not even in this patch? Like, it's a mess. And it's tough to keep track of it sometimes. And, like, I'm doing it all in my head. We don't have, like, a central database of, like, an Excel spreadsheet or something that's like, this bit of info, and fill in these different columns for when it's been announced or gone into the game or anything like that. No, we don't have that. We just have, I kind of try to remember that we haven't announced the double undead race yet.
Oh, I knew it. I totally called it.
Yeah. They're just humans.
So, yeah, the... God, I mean, like we saw the movie trailer.
Yep. What'd you think of the movie trailer?
First off, I saw the trailer thing last year, right?
The little preview thing.
The little preview thing, yeah. And during that, they showed us like a clip, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. You know, you're like starstruck almost. It's like, wow, you're in awe. Like, oh, it's a flyover of Stormwind, I think of what it was. And a couple other things. And then he was like, and then he says, okay, so that was basically like a pre-render without like half our, cool shit on it. So here is a small clip of something that was fully rendered so you could see it. And then he played this clip, and it had, I believe it was Duratan, and he was talking to somebody, and
Draka.
Yeah, and you just like you saw in his eyes, and you could tell, you could feel like what he was. You could feel what he was feeling. Like, it was really, really good. And so when I saw this trailer, I felt like it was lacking a little bit of the polish that I saw even just in that one tiny clip. And here's the thing, like, a lot of this stuff goes through changes before the thing launches. And I think I even saw the biggest complaints to some people, the baby, right?
Yeah.
The baby seemed a bit too shiny, I guess, or something. And a couple other things also felt a little bit too shiny. But all that stuff is, like, very easily fixed in post.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that it's going to go through a lot of changes. But, I mean, in terms of, like, it being an awesome, like, fantasy film and an awesome Warcraft film, I just if there's anything to compare it to, I think it's going to be amazing and a whole lot of fun in general.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, like, it looks... I can imagine someone who's not super into the Warcraft series already is going to look at it and be like, yeah, that looks like a pretty good generic medieval fantasy movie. Like,
just like somebody who's into Lord of the Rings being like,
yeah,
it looks like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Hobbit's done, so we'll check out this Warcraft thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that, I can totally see that happening. For someone who is super into it, I can see it being a lot bigger of a deal because you're like, oh my god, it's that guy. Oh my god. Yeah. They're like, oh, what's Gul'dan doing, bruh? So, I haven't, like, at this point, I have not seen anything that anyone public has not seen. Like, I am 100% in the dark on anything about the Warcraft movie. Mm-hmm. Legendary likes to keep things close to their chest.
That's smart.
So yeah, I mean that's the film industry in general. Is they, like, you think Blizzard hides things, like You don't data mine a movie, okay? It doesn't happen.
Yeah, and every like sneak peek thing you see is like a DVD rip screening with like somebody's
Yeah.
tag all over the corner or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I
I do
gu-
think that
Okay.
the like you're talking about the scene, the Duratan scene from last year's little preview
Yeah.
versus this trailer. I do think that a movie trailer where the image is changing every like 3 seconds is not a great like it's even if
I
there
agree.
are those sorts of things going on in it,
Yeah.
you're not going to really notice them because like the whole reason that in the Duratan clip that you could really see all of that is just because of the subtle changes in his facial expression or the way his eyes are darting around. Like you could see like the tears sort of welling up in his eyes a little bit as he's
Yeah.
looking. Like this is stuff that takes an amount of time because you have to notice that something has changed from where it was previously.
Exactly.
Whereas in a film trailer where it's like, oh, here's a half a second of someone jumping onto a griffin, it's like, okay, yeah. This summer.
Yeah, there's like every freaking
Yeah.
trailer is like that.
Then all of a sudden in the background, there's a really low horn just going, "Bwah." Because that's how movie trailers sound these days.
It'd be great if we got to see two pieces of it. I think that would have satisfied or sated a lot of people because
Yeah, definitely.
you're right. Seeing that extended scene with Duratan was like it was really good.
Yeah.
And getting just the flashes here and there, like what can you judge? You could purely you only can judge the look and the essentially the shine that is on the entire film, and so it's typical.
Yeah,
It's
you
difficult.
only see the stuff that pops out to you, so you're only
Yep.
going to notice those little shines and stuff like that.
Yeah, I also I got into the theater deal where basically it was a closed door thing on the third floor where they allowed a couple people to come in and mostly fan sites and journalists and stuff like that too for a what is it called a panel of all the actors that we saw on the stage, right? The director and Chris Hardwick. And
Oh, cool, you
and-
went to that.
Yeah,
Cool.
and Metzen was there. And it was pretty funny. So initially, it doesn't really seem like Metzen was supposed to be part of the deal, and they kind of squeezed him in and it was pretty obvious because there wasn't enough chairs, right? And he had to
That's
kind of
funny.
just squeeze it in the middle. First off, the cast.
I mean, you say that, but it's also entirely possible that someone just didn't bring enough chairs.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
I know this company, and that's the sort of thing that happens.
it was like Hardwick asked a question at the beginning that I guess like the guys really couldn't necessarily answer. It was a pretty deep question about things that, and the director went into it. And
so
covered it
what's
pretty
the
well,
ending
but
of the
then-
movie?
And then yeah, right. Just kind of like how this whole thing came together, and that's when Duncan brought Metzen on stage to kind of go deeper into it. Then Metzen just kind of hung out, and which was the
okay,
best
cool.
thing that could have possibly happened. And the reason why is because the cast is actually a pretty like you could tell these guys have obviously spent a lot of time on set together because they were so on like and in sync. So they start talking about the mocap stuff, right? So the way they film and capture some of these guys, they obviously use like mocap. So it is the actors moving and everything like that. So and then the guy makes a comment. He goes, and this is the guy I think who was playing Duratan. He's all like, yeah, well, I was wearing the mocap suit, and I wasn't sure exactly. You don't know exactly what it is that the end product's gonna look like, and I was worried because you're just wearing a mocap suit and that's it, and it's tight, and I'm like, wow, are they gonna see my junk? And and he was like, I think they can see my junk. And then another guy kind of wrote with it. He's all like, yeah, but it's cool if they see your junk, right? Because it means an orc junk, so it'd be pretty huge. He's like, I don't know if it'd be really long, but it would definitely be like, pretty girthy, And like Metzen's in the middle, just like, oh my god, it's again. He goes, he's like, it's a family film. Like he's just like, oh Jesus, no more orc cock, please, guys, stop
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Metzen's entire career is flashing before his eyes.
But it was, it was fun, and you get a lot of behind the scenes type stuff, mostly on like how did the idea come about, how did you select a story, and how did you capture it, how did you film it, and so it was pretty basic stuff, but just just getting a feel for all the actors and how playful they are and how in sync they were was really really good, and then throw Metzen in the mix, and he's just like, oh Jesus guys, stop talking about work stuff.
Well, that's a good. It's a good indicator, like after the fact, when the actors are like just riffing on each other and just sort of like hanging out, because it means that they enjoyed the time they were working on the film.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, obviously they're actors, so they're going to be pretty good at acting, but in those sorts, like, you're not gonna start joking about orc dicks for 10 minutes when you hate everyone that you're hanging out with at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that thing was great. That thing was really great. What else? I mean, what else happened? I mean,
So-
Overwatch was like the talk of the town. It was basically, I feel like it was all Overwatch and Chagall.
Yeah, Overwatch and Cho'Gall were the, like, so WoW had already announced that Legion was a thing, so, like, the big hits of, like, it's the Burning Legion, it's Illidan, it's Demon Hunters, like, that already happened at Gamescom. So for WoW, it was more like, well, let's give more details on what's going on. And there was some cool stuff that came out of it, like the new transmog system and so on. And then we ended up putting out this, like, bunch of class blogs, like, afterwards that go into details on some in some cases pretty major changes coming to certain specs in the game, which is pretty cool. But that's like post BlizzCon stuff. For like games that were making a big splash at BlizzCon itself, yeah, it was totally Overwatch and Cho'Gall. Overwatch announced 3 more heroes and a new map, and Cho'Gall is crazy. So okay, Cho'Gall. Let's unpack Cho'Gall for a second.
Sure.
There's a lot that's bizarre about Cho'Gall in a way that is like, okay, hang on. Like, okay, so from my perspective, just purely as a gamer, I enjoy Heroes of the Storm. I think it's really, really fun. But I also think that Dota and League of Legends are really fun.
Yeah.
And if I want to sit down and play a MOBA, I don't particularly have a reason to play Heroes of the Storm over another MOBA. At the moment, except for the fact that I work at Blizzard, and so it, like, I kind of feel like I should.
Yeah.
And like I say, I enjoy the game. I think it's great, but there isn't a particular draw to it for me over League of Legends, where I've spent ungodly amounts of money on RP over the years and have a billion skins and so on. Cho'Gall is the sort of thing that makes me go, oh wait, hang on. Like, wait, hang on. These guys are doing some crazy shit over here. So for anybody who's listening and is not aware, he is a 2-headed ogre, and you play as one of his 2 heads. You play as either Cho or Gall. You cannot queue as Cho'Gall without being with a buddy. You have to be playing with some. You can't just say, I'm going to queue as Cho and get matched with a random Gall. Like, you have to be playing with someone who is selected to be the other half of your Cho'Gall. And one person controls 90% of the movement, runs around, has a couple of abilities. The other person controls a whole bunch of spells. But, like, the spells riff off of each other. So, like, Cho, who's the one that he controls the movement, he can, like, throw this, like, big steel ball along the ground.
Uh-huh.
And Gall can explode it. And it deals a bunch of damage around it. So, like, it does a little bit of damage as it's rolling, but then Gall can explode it, and it deals a bunch of damage when he does that. And there's a bunch of stuff that, like, plays back and forth. Like, whenever Cho casts this, then Gall gets that, and vice versa. There's talents that play back and forth. Like, you can take a talent that does nothing but buff one of the other half's, like, abilities. That's all it does. And it's pretty crazy, and it's the sort of thing that, like, I've got a bunch of friends that have been playing it. They've been like, this is ruining our friendship. Like, we just shout at each other the entire time, and it's amazing because that's what Cho'Gall does all the time.
Yes.
Like, he is constantly, like, one of his, like, Cho will constantly be shouting at Gall and vice versa, and it's kind of amazing. The other thing that's really, really cool about Cho'Gall, though, is the way that you get him, at least at the moment, is if you went to BlizzCon, or were otherwise specially flagged, but 90% of the time it's just if you went to BlizzCon, then you have Cho'Gall. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Woohoo.
In order to get Cho'Gall, if you don't have him at the moment, you have to play with someone who does. And you have to play, I think, 4 games with someone who does. And then you get Cho'Gall for free after that. So it's this weird, like, sort of spreading the herp sort of, like... make people play this game so that they get
Spreading the herp.
things. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's Patient Zero who's at BlizzCon, and then they just go out and they're like, all right, I got bit by the monkey. Let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then 28 days later, everybody can buy Cho'Gall in the store.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, his the thing that so watching some of these announcements, some of these especially with Cho'Gall, being there and like kind of getting everybody's reactions is so good. Like
Yeah.
whenever they, like, oh, it's I was like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, it's got to take 2 players. People are like, what? And it's like, oh, here's this mount animation, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, what? Like the mount animation is hilarious
Yeah.
because how else is he gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to play him at all. But I mean, I get the gist, and I could definitely, and I think it's good because I don't want to have to work with anybody else. So I'm happy to just watch people just hate each other on it.
Yeah. The other awesome thing about the way that Cho'Gall works is when you're in a game, your name, you're not displayed as 2 separate heads. Your name, it takes the first 3 letters of the person playing Cho's name and the last 4 letters of the person playing Gall's name. So like if you and I were playing and you were Cho and I was Gall, it would be AKA Lore. Or vice versa, it would be like Dev.
It'd be
Dev Ike B.
Devikeb or something like
Devikeb.
Devikeb.
Yeah. And it's crazy because you see like if you watch the Heroes of the Storm Reddit, like people keep posting these crazy ass like
combinations
that they've come up with. Like, there was one guy whose name was Assistant and one guy whose name was Hole, WHOLE, and they were playing Cho'Gall. And it literally this was amazing. Like they had screenshots of it in game. It was *hole, unless you had the mature language filter on, in which case it censored the entire thing.
Did it? Oh, that's great. See, that's somebody gets a star for that because that's some forward thinking right there.
Yeah, it
It's
was
like,
really,
really
these
guys gonna come together and it's gonna be goat and C. It's not CX or something like that. And it's gonna be smart.
Yeah. So
Overwatch, yes.
Yeah. Have you played around with any of the new heroes yet?
I haven't. I've been trapped in another game. I'm trying desperately to get out, but I can't seem to stop. But I did. I mean, I know of them. I know there's Mrs. Freeze.
Yes.
There is Excalibur from Warframe. And there is
Genji.
what was the other one?
Diva.
Yes, Diva, which I have no comparison to that because it's just pretty awesome. I know people were. God, I should get in there and play with that one because I've heard that people are doing some crazy shit with her ult.
Oh man,
because
her
of the
ult
way
is
that it
crazy.
functions.
Yeah, her ult. So Diva's ult, she has like a 2-part ult. Because she has her mech suit form and her. Whoops! I blew up my mech suit form, which is just her running around.
Yeah.
When you don't have a mech suit, your ult is you build up to a point where you can call down a new mech suit. And you have like a little light pistol, and it builds pretty fast, but you have 0 hit points this entire time. So, well, okay, you have like 100 hit points this entire time. So if anyone looks at you funny, you're dead. So you're just kind of like peeking around, you're poking, and you're trying to get some hits on people. And then finally you can summon your mech down. When you're in your mech suit, her ultimate is that you activate the self-destruct mode of it, and you jump out of it, and then after a few seconds it explodes and instant kills anything within line of sight. After there's a radius on it, but it's a pretty large radius. And then once it explodes, you can immediately call down a new mech suit. And so she can also fly when she's in her mech suit. So like there's this awesome shot of, I don't remember which streamer it was. It might have been Elohim, or Elohim, however that's pronounced. Where it's on Temple of Anubis and like moving up towards the last point. So there's like that big archway that you have to run through, and then it's kind of open inside. So you go through this archway and then immediately get shot 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And there's always like 6 Torbjorns with turrets built up on that point.
Yeah, the entire teams, of course.
Yeah. And so he like starts to fly over that first archway, and in midair pops the ultimate so that the mech suit just keeps like flying through the air because it keeps the momentum. Keeps like flying through the air.
Yeah.
It lands dead center on the point and explodes and kills everything that's there.
Oh my god!
And it's amazing. The kind of like
beautiful.
crap you can pull. Like the other thing that you can do, I've found out, if you're a Roadhog on the opposing team, because Roadhog is the best character in that game.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. You can actually you can hook the mech suit as it's about to explode. So you can like save your team. Like I did this the other day.
You'd be a grenade jumper, basically.
Well, yeah. I mean, unless if you do it intelligently, you can be at a spot where you can get back out of line of sight. I'm about to be arrested, apparently. By the way, I don't know if you can hear that or not.
Let's hurry up, wrap this up then before we go. We want to have at least one hit.
But yeah, so I was playing with Squishy the other day, actually, and we were pushing up onto the point on Hollywood, and a diva had dropped her ultimate like right on the point. So I grabbed it and hooked it away from the point, and then like immediately ducked into this little like alleyway, and it exploded, and nothing happened. Nobody died, and we just went on with our lives. So there's some cool stuff you can do, and that's the awesome thing about Overwatch is there's all these sort of goofy little tricks you can do that people have just not even remotely started to figure out yet.
Yeah,
like the optimal ways to do it. Like Roadhog probably counters Diva pretty well. Wow, that is really loud.
That's like right outside, I think.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's looks like an ambulance. Somebody done got hurt.
Ouch.
But yeah, anyway, there's like all these little tricks you can do like that people have just started to figure out, and like eventually it'll be commonplace. Like eventually it'll be, if you are a diva, someone on the other team switches to Roadhog and is constantly pulling your ult away so that you don't get anything done. Like in the pro levels.
Yeah.
Theoretically, anyway, maybe it doesn't work out that way, but theoretically, that's the sort of thing that might end up happening. But right now, it's just like, oh, Diva dropped an ultimate. Everyone's dead.
So then there's Genji, I think.
Genji, yeah.
Yeah.
The Robo Ninja.
Yeah, I need to get in there and play with him because Genji looks awesome, fast paced, double jump.
Yep.
And also the slash dash type of video ability. What is it called?
I don't remember exactly what it's called. It says shift.
Yeah, shift. Yeah, swift strike.
Yeah.
So it's a very obviously very highly mobile character, and then the ability to basically skill reflect different projectiles and such. Which I don't know if there's a limitation to that, but it sounds pretty fucking awesome. Like, can a Genji, reflect another Genji's attacks or something? Will they actually ting 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 and get into like a fight? Like it seems like a very very complicated character that plays exactly how you would expect a future ninja thing to perform.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video of someone who went through and tested like every single ability in the game on a Genji using his reflect thing, and you can reflect a lot more than you might think. Like you can reflect Zarya's ult, and then it works for your team. Like if a Zarya shoots her ult because she shoots that before it actually does the big like orby sucking everything in.
Yeah, it's thing. Like a little nade.
There's like a little grenade, and you can reflect that, and it will bounce back at the Zarya. But it will be friendly to you at that point.
Yeah.
And it will actually suck the enemy team into it. Like all sorts of crazy things you could do like that. It's once people really start to figure out how to use that effectively, like you can reflect McCree's ult and he one-shots himself. You can reflect
high noon.
Ding 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 ding. Yeah, exactly. You can reflect Bastion like nonstop, and you'll just chew right through his shield and kill him. Mm-hmm. Like, it's actually kind of insane. Once people really figure that thing out, man, he's gonna be pretty OP.
That's a lot of this too. Like, there's so much because there's so much synergy with different abilities. Like from the first day that I got in, where Pharah was basically super OP. And it's purely because people didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's justice reigns from above. Basically, in the beginning, meant, oh god, I'm gonna die. It's coming from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh, turn, look up, fire, done, right?
Yeah. And like Bastion, like the first couple of days, everyone was like, oh my god, Bastion is so overpowered. I can't believe that Bastion's in this game. Bastion's so overpowered. And I was like, at first I was like, wait, what? They think Bastion's overpowered?
Yeah.
Because I've been playing internally for ages, and I was like, oh, they haven't figured out how to kill Bastion yet. And it's literally
turn around.
Yeah, like once you learn the maps, you go, okay, he's set up in that spot, so if I go over here, then he can't shoot me.
Yep.
And all I have to do is walk up and punch him a bunch.
Just swap to Tracer. Done.
Yeah, that too. Tracer counters him pretty well. Symmetra, not a lot of people really realize this, but Symmetra is basically a hard counter to Bastion because her alt fire does a shit ton of damage if you're not moving,
the shield.
and it goes through the shield. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you fire off, I think it's like 3 or 4 fully charged secondaries, and Bastion's is dead, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Yep.
Like, he can move, and if he does that, then
he could pack it up and move, which case you've also won the battle. Like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, all that synergy and stuff like that and the game changed. Like over the course of like that first week, I just saw it go from this character's overpowered, now this character's overpowered. Well, it's not because there's any changes that came down. It's because people are figuring the shit out. And as of today, actually, there's even more people that are flagged for this weekend.
Yep.
A lot more people, and so we're probably gonna discover even more, mechanics and such that we just didn't know before.
Yep. Yeah, it's really, really exciting to watch it sort of grow and evolve. And like, even with the way that like things were internally, like there were a lot of people internally that had played a shit ton of Overwatch. And like we had our sort of like, these are the best Overwatch players internally, and like they would scrim against each other all the time, and like you'd see these guys they know what they're doing, this is really, really awesome. And the way that they were playing the game has already kind of been outmoded by the way that people are playing the game on not on the beta now that that's active.
Yep.
Because just having more people around means that you adapt and change to the meta much faster.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's just so many cool things. Like every character just has its own. Yeah, I realize I don't think we've done a Don't Get Your Hopes Up since Overwatch was released to the wild. I don't think we have, because that was relatively close to when you were, right?
Yeah. I was. So we did one like right after opening week.
Oh, okay, that's right.
But I don't remember. I don't think Overwatch was actually out yet.
But yeah, there's just so much cool shit. Every character just has just something, like Zenyatta, right? It's like, oh crap, we're getting down to the last couple seconds. We need somebody to tag the point to keep it alive for us. Okay, no problem. Zenyatta's basically invincible with his ult. Just have him go sit on the point for a minute, trigger it, buy people time,
Yep.
Mercy.
His ult also hard counters a lot of other ults. Like,
well, yeah, because you basically nullify it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just heal everybody so much. Like, if you are Zarya and you use your ult against a Zenyatta who probably has his ult up because it charges pretty quickly, you done fucked up because he just presses Q and you don't get anything done.
And then Mercy, my favorite healer. Just being able to essentially fly around the map.
Yep.
When you have a Pharah out there just kind of flying around, just doing their own thing, guess what? You can fly too.
Yep.
All verticality is essentially yours. Is there a Widowmaker like sitting up on a ledge somewhere? Guess what? So are you.
Yep.
Like, you are just everywhere. And if you're getting shit on by somebody, turn around and like just fly to somebody.
Yep.
And that's it.
And people haven't really figured out her damage boost yet either. Like, optimal people to use the damage boost on.
McCree is one.
McCree is definitely one. Yeah, because then all of a sudden it's 2 hits and he kills people.
Yep.
Often, honestly, like a lot of the people that you think you should use the damage boost on, it tends to be kind of wrong. Like, you think that, oh, Soldier, I'll use the damage boost on Soldier, and that's fine while he's got his ult up. But when he's got his ult up, he's probably gonna kill everything he can see anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just a matter of clearing it out faster. Like, it makes sense if you're worried about the Soldier dying before he can finish his ult, but like you'll see. The other thing is, it's oftentimes not necessarily someone that you're going to be worried about healing. Mm-hmm. So like a Widowmaker with that charge with a damage boost can one-shot anybody, body shot.
Yeah.
Except for tanks. But can one-shot anybody with 250 health with a body shot. It doesn't have to be a headshot once she's got the damage boost on her. And that's the sort of thing that's like, oh, so I fly up to the Widowmaker and I give her a damage boost until somebody needs to be healed. Then I fly down to them and heal them. And then I fly back up to the Widowmaker and give her the damage boost again. It's like, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
Or like I'm telling you, man, the Mercy Roadhog combo. People don't understand the Mercy Roadhog combo. They just don't get it. So Roadhog, because he doesn't have a shield, he just has a lot of health.
Yeah.
He's taking damage all the time.
Yeah.
Which means there's constantly something for Mercy to heal. Which means Mercy is constantly generating her ultimate. Which means Mercy is constantly rezzing your entire team.
Oh, that's actually a pretty fair point. Yeah, you're right. Totally right. Huh.
It's so good. Like, I know Vihel and his fiance, I forget which name she goes by. Holland is her name. I forget what her online name is off the top of my head, but like they will play Roadhog and Mercy, and she will like yell at him if he actually uses his Roadhog self heal, because she'll be like, no, I need to heal that so I get my ult back up.
You're taking away my ults.
Yeah.
And so they announced the game was coming out on basically every platform, current gen consoles and PC.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal too that there's a price point on it, and because a lot of people I think were expecting it to be free to play. The only way when you have 20 characters or something, like how many heroes are there now?
I don't remember. I want to say 21, but I that might not be right.
21. Yes, you're right. Just counted.
Hooray.
Yeah.
We did it.
21 characters. Having some of them behind a paywall, and not including them in kind of like the base, in the base team comp kind of formula, would actually kind of homogenize the entire feel of some of these characters. They would have to.
Yeah.
And also it would kind of, and in turn, it would also kind of dumb down the gameplay itself and reduce some of the depth that you have. By making it buy to play, I mean, besides the fact that one, you're going to eliminate a lot of people who are botting because you lose your account, you just lost $50 on top of everything else, right?
Yep.
But now you have a stable of characters, 21 characters right now, that can be independently balanced and tweaked and not have to be, well, this one has to be purchased, so we can't make it too OP because it needs to be, it can't be a hard counter to this because then people are going to get that character and always wipe this other person. This person's only, option is to get this other character that we have behind a paywall. So it's
and vice versa as well. Like we were saying, like sometimes the right answer is switch to Tracer, get behind Bastion. Yep. But if you don't have Tracer, you can't do that.
Exactly.
So there's kind of this minimum number of characters that you have to have regardless, and it's like that minimum number in Overwatch is like 10. So at a certain point, you just kind of say, okay, you know what, we'll just make it. The other thing too, I guess, to think about is that Blizzard already has 2 free-to-play games.
Yep.
And putting out another free-to-play game on top of that, like, is kind of dipping a little bit too far into the company ink.
Right. Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah. So like, I am pleased with the purchase price model of Overwatch, because it means, like, from a consumer's perspective, it means that I buy the game, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and
you can get skins and stuff, which I love skins.
And stuff. And they'll probably release some more down the road that will be extra, but it's not something that's going to impact gameplay.
Yeah, they actually. So a lot of people have been like, oh, they keep dodging the question about what's going on in the future and how they're gonna release new stuff later on or whatever. And Jeff Kaplan did a video recently where he's like, I'm not, or maybe it was an interview, I don't remember, but he's like, I'm not trying to dodge the question. We just haven't decided yet.
yeah, that's right. They haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. I don't even know, but I'm sure they're not going to be like, 3 months from now, here's 10 champions for $25, like actual new, or not champions, heroes for $25, because that would have kind of defeated the purpose of selling the game as a box price to begin with.
Yeah.
With the whole concept of let's balance it accordingly. But we don't know, and neither do they. So I'm sure they'll figure out something that's not going to piss off everybody, but you can't always do that.
Yeah, like I don't even mind the idea of like a booster or a DLC or something for Overwatch, as long as it's as long as it's a decent amount of value to it. Like if I can get another 10 heroes for another $20, maybe, like treat it like a WoW expansion almost, where it's like, okay, we know people are going to buy this, and it's like a year after release or something, so it comes not at a time where everybody's still in Overwatch and they want to spend as much money in the game as possible, but it's more like, okay, yeah, remember Overwatch? You should play it again because there's a whole bunch of new stuff now. Like I could see something like that working. Yeah, and there would have to be a certain amount of time, because honestly, even that, it would have to be
those characters, like, man, it's such a difficult thing because
It is for sure, and there's
Like,
also
I-
like the worry of splintering the community too much.
yeah, because you know what? After and this happened with me with Destiny. It's like, you know, I got in, I got my fix. Okay, good, done. Now I spent another $50 on this game, and I got in, and I got a whole lot more fix, and then I'm done. You know?
Yeah.
And that's those expansions and these add-ons and stuff like that. It gets you back in the game, it gets you playing, and I'm satisfied with that. I'm happy with that. But as long as they come, like, you know, it's timely. It's not something that happens, you know, again, you know, day one DLC. I swear, if Blizzard has, like, day one DLC Overwatch, like a bunch of Cheerios, which is basically heroes and champions, the same word. They have a bunch of Cheerios at launch. I'll be extremely disappointed. But I don't think that's going to be the case. A year
Yeah, I don't
later,
think
if they
that
have,
is
like,
bad.
you know, a pack of 5 or something like that, and maybe they're just kind of like slight variants on something that already exists, it's like, okay, cool, you know? But I think they'll probably just go with skins. And I'm totally down to buy skins.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 100% down to buy skins. The modding question actually came up during the Q&A at BlizzCon. Somebody asked about the modding community. And are they going to be open to mods? And he said that they've always supported modding. Look at Dota, you know, they've always been fans of modding. They just don't know exactly what they're going to do with this yet. I was shaking my head. The answer is probably going to be no, because, you know, if they're going to monetize this with skins, you know, then modding kind of takes away, you know, hats and skins and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
possibly.
exactly. But they could just have official skins and then have unofficial skins, let people, you know, go through a mod and have fun with it.
Yeah, they could also do like a Steamworks sort of thing, theoretically, where people make stuff and they submit it, and then it's sold, and like part of the proceeds go to the person that made it, and part of the proceeds go to Blizzard for making the game.
Yeah, that's true.
The other thing I guess to think about in terms of like at least new champions, and possibly new maps as well, is I keep calling them champions now because you said it earlier. Mm-hmm. New heroes.
Cheerios, dude, come on.
New Cheerios, and coming out with them is, depending on how successful skin sales are in Overwatch, it may be worthwhile for them to release a new hero for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
then
if
can
they,
yep.
yeah, exactly. Like it may end up being worthwhile that they say, hey, here's this new hero. Everyone gets this new hero who's already bought the game, and you can spend some extra money on a skin for it if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And if the skin sales are successful, I think a lot of this ties back to them saying we don't know why they're saying we don't know what we're going to do with it yet, because they need to find things out like that first.
Yep.
They need to know, like, before they commit to, yes, we're going to sell this DLC pack a year after release that contains 10 new heroes and 3 new maps or something like that. They need to find out first, do we even need to do that? Do we even need to sell this thing? Or is it more profitable for us to just give it to everybody for free and have people buy skins that want skins?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll test the waters and they'll see. A lot can change before launch. And a lot can change just even through the holidays. The holidays is a period when a lot of things are going to be purchased. A lot of money is going to be thrown around. So that's a good time for them to collect data and figure out what are people spending money on when it comes to microtransactions and just general game sales. So I'm sure they'll have all the data they need by, you know, end of first quarter, and then they'll be able to figure something out and how they want to actually move forward with it. And you know what? Even just player feedback straight up. You know, they're going to get people coming in and they're going to have feedback, you know, coming at them as they bring more people into the beta. So it's just community feedback and sales numbers. When those two things, you know, they find a common denominator between those two, and they're golden. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else happened?
So speaking of BlizzCon,
Mm-hmm.
by which I mean speaking of the end of the world, Fallout 4 came out.
Yes.
That one's a little loose, but
It was pretty loose. I was actually hoping you'd go the BlizzCon, Blizzard, Snow, Battlefront.
oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I thought you were going that way, but you didn't. So we're gonna
No.
start with Fallout now.
Yeah.
So Fallout 4 is
Amazing.
amazing and also shitty at the same time. I don't know how they do this.
That's every Bethesda game ever.
Yeah, exactly. They keep doing it, and it's exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah. At this point, if you call yourself a gamer and you buy a Bethesda product on day one, not expecting a bunch of bugs you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's really no excuse for them to keep doing this. But god damn it, like it's like on one hand you have this really, really just terrible GUI. Like it's just so bad. You know, I have to hit tab and I have to use WASD to navigate, and then in some menus it's not tab to exit, it's escape
it's
to
so
exit.
weird.
Yeah,
Or
it's
like suddenly you have to use the arrow keys, but only when you're building shit.
it was like they got the guys from Real Time Worlds to come in and design all these different components for them and then just slapped it on.
Yeah.
Like they just nothing really makes sense. The world editor thing is completely different from everything else.
Yeah.
And it's just there's so many different pieces. But then you get into the world and you're just like, holy shit! Like there's so much happening in just the world map. You could be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna run to this spot that I haven't discovered yet. I can't fast travel, so I'm gonna do run to it, and you'll get into a whole bunch of fights, or there'll be a fight broke out between like these two different factions or whatever, and you could jump in there and take part in it or whatever, or you could just sit there and explore buildings. And I'm sitting there like I'm playing DayZ, right? And I'm just like every single room and every single place and watching my back just in case somebody shows up, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just so good. The world is just so good.
It really is. Yeah. It's amazing. Like, it's a world that's so good that I forget about my frustrations with the UI.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, yeah, this I don't really like the base building because the UI is a faff and a half. But I'm really, really enjoying. Like, I love the power armor, the way they did power armor in this game, where it's like, instead of being this like super late end game thing where you learn how to use power armor and you've been working on this for ages and now you can wear power armor and you're just kind of slightly better all the time. It's like, no, you get if you've got a power core, if you've got a fusion core and you get into your power armor, you are a fucking badass.
Yes.
And you are going to kick some shit.
Yep.
Until you run out of power. At which point you are going to be very sad.
Yeah, exactly.
And it turns it into this. There's like this gameplay then of, okay, this next mission I'm about to go on, do I think I need my power armor for this one? Because if not, I'm not going to get it because I want to save my fusion cores.
Yeah. Yes. And then you end up never using it because you're saving fusion cores and you're afraid of spending them because you might need them later on, like me.
Oh, I keep a backup. I keep about half of one fusion core, just in case. That's my. I think in a situation where I desperately need my power armor, my one fusion core, my half of fusion core will probably be enough.
We'll get the job done.
Yeah, that's the point when I say, all right, I need to stop using my power armor right now. Up until that point, I'm like, I got 4 fusion cores, man.
I'm gonna go balls deep on this simple infiltration mission.
I'm just walking around Diamond City right now. I'm shopping. Thump.
What difficulty are you playing right now?
I don't actually know. It was whatever the default one was.
Probably normal. Dude,
Probably
switch it to survival.
Yeah.
I
watched Shizzle streaming it on survival a little bit.
It is definitely harder, but it's not too unforgiving. If you, especially because of the fact that you quick save everywhere.
That's true.
There have been times where I've quick saved in some pretty stupid spots, but I have been able to find a way to fight through it. It's just a matter of, do I have this weapon? Can I do this? Let me try this. You know, and like you end up getting finding your way out. It pays off because you're gonna come across a legendary, and like there's a couple times that just like I think 2 nights ago I was streaming Fallout again, and I was set up as where was I was infiltrating a building, and these things, I don't want to ruin a story or anything, but these things were coming at me, and one of them was a legendary, and I was basically pinned down. I had like nowhere to go at the top of this escalator, and it took me probably an hour to complete this mission because it was so tough. But you know, the payoff was so good. Like I think I got a couple good, decent weapons, like legendary weapons. But one of them was a 10mm pistol that had if you shoot somebody in the leg, they're stunned or something like that. Like it's the kneecapper perk. And that's the deal with legendaries. Basically, they have perks, right?
Yeah.
And that made the whole thing worth it. I have another shotgun that staggers. Which is awesome because it only has 2 shots before I had to reload. So it's nice that it staggers them at least, because if it doesn't stagger them, then guess what? They keep coming at you. So it's totally worth it to play on that. It is punishing enough, but the fact that you could F5 everywhere makes it not too unforgiving.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to give it a try. I normally with games like this, I play through on normal because I don't want to get into I know myself, and I know as soon as I slightly forget about Fallout, I'm not gonna play it again.
Yeah.
And because it's an open world game, and because you have so much choice, eventually I just kind of forget, and I just don't I've done this with all of the
all the Grand Theft Autos.
All the Grand Theft Autos. I've done it with Fallout 3 and New Vegas. I've done it with Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind and every other Elder Scrolls game that I've played, which is none because those are the only ones that I've played. This is how it happens for me. So I tend to leave it on an easier difficulty because then that way I can make sure that I'm still progressing through the story regularly, and that keeps me interested.
Yeah.
But once I've done that, then I will absolutely go back and be like, all right, let's do this again. But this time, I'm going to make it hard on myself.
Oh, man. I think you're missing out.
Maybe I'll, because you can change it at any time, right?
Yeah, you can. It's like Mass Effect. You can just change it on the fly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe I'll just poke around with it a little bit and see how I feel about it.
It's just, so I'm the same way. It's like, I'll go through, if I go on, so I was playing on normal, and I was basically just burning through the missions. And what ended up happening was I felt like, after you do 10 missions in an hour, you're like, okay, some of these are kind of the same, right? You kind of get this whole vanilla WoW, go kill 10 rats thing. But when I cranked it up to survival, suddenly I was working my ass off to complete one mission. But I was getting good loot to offset the amount of work that I was putting into. So I didn't end up getting that kind of this grindy feel of I'm just doing missions. Okay, shoot this guy, shoot that guy. Great, doing more missions. It offset that because I wasn't burning through them so quickly, and it made every mission just that much more valuable to me. What do you think about the weapon system?
I both like and dislike it.
Okay.
I like that it means that I like the extra customization that it brings. I like that it means that the random shit you find in the world is still useful. Mm-hmm. I will pick up every hot plate I come across because I'm like, oh man, screws.
Yes.
I like that. I am annoyed that I can't take the scope off of one gun and put it on another, even though they're the same gun. If I have...
You mean the pipe pistol versus the pipe rifle or whatever?
No. I mean, literally, if I have a hunting rifle, and I have one hunting rifle that has... And maybe I just haven't figured out how to do this because the UI is, as previously mentioned, kind of garbage. Mm-hmm. But I have not found a way... figured it out with armor. But with another thing, with weapons, for some reason, if I want to take the scope off of hunting rifle A and put it on hunting rifle B, I actually have to build the standard thing, which costs materials.
Dude, yes. Oh my god, that's what I wanted to get into with this. I was hoping we'd go there. Thank you so much for going there.
Why can't I just say, okay, this hunting rifle, I would like to salvage, or whatever the term they use. I forget. Take apart. I forget the term that they use in the game.
It's scrappers or salvage.
Scrap, yeah.
I can't remember.
I would like to scrap this hunting rifle, but in the process of doing so, I would like to take this nice sniper scope that's on it and put it onto my other sniper rifle that has all of these other things that I want. It's no, you're not allowed to do that. You have to literally bang and destroy this existing scope entirely, and then fashion a new one from scratch.
Yeah, because you don't get all the materials back for every individual piece.
No, you get some steel.
Yeah, exactly. And so, for example, let's say a buttstock, right? If I get a weapon and it's just holy crap, this thing is amazing. I want to take this buttstock off and put it on something else, and then scrap the whole thing. I can't do that. I need to create an intermediary piece to kind of move around. So in this case, it would be, let me go ahead and get on the workbench and cut out a beautiful handcrafted buttstock to remove the old one, and then I trash the whole fucking thing.
Yep.
That part, yeah, you're right. That part is, I ran across that problem the other day, and I was like, there has to be a way to do this. And everyone's like, nope. you have to craft a stock one in order to remove the good one. And it's
so weird because you can do that with the armor, because when you take a piece of armor, and you go and okay, it's got the pocketed mod or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can go into that section and set it to just be standard, and it will put a pocketed mod in your inventory, and then when you go to the piece that you want to add it to, instead of telling you that it has to craft it, it will just say apply mod or something like that.
See,
you can do it with the armor. You can't do it with the weapons, and it's fucking weird.
This is the real-time worlds thing that I was saying. It's like here is, all these different features that just do not work the same.
Yeah.
And that's why it feels so just disjointed sometimes. When it's anything dealing with the UI, it feels disjointed. It feels like the entire world was crafted by one guy or one small team that was totally in tune with each other.
Yeah. That said, the whole reason to play Fallout on PC is because someone will make a mod that fixes that.
Yes. Yep. Oh yeah. Somebody will do, and it's funny.
That's why you play Bethesda games on PC, because someone will make a mod that makes it not quite so bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And there's like one of the things I had a problem with, which I guess is a mod out for, I haven't checked Nexus mods yet, but was whenever you use a scope, when you right click to go to scope, there's like a 0.5 second period or something where it's black.
Yep.
So you can't very quickly scope, and it just makes it annoying. Like the amount of time it takes to look through a scope is way too long.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely, like, the gunplay is definitely better in Fallout 4 than it was in Fallout 3.
Oh yeah.
But it's still not quite as tight as an actual FPS.
I agree with that. Yeah, it
But
does.
It's
It
still
does
a lot
still.
of fun.
Yeah, exactly. It does still feel pretty good. The VAT system I never use, and every time I use it, I regret using it.
Oh, I use it all the time.
Do you? So I don't have any points into it, so I'm not.
I don't really have any points into it either. I tend to use it. So the reason that I use it, I switch back and forth constantly. So I'll use the VAT system, I'll use up my action points, and then I'll just fire normally for a while. And then I'll use the VAT system once my action points have recharged. And the reason for that is that, like, as long as you have sufficient ammo to where you don't have to worry about, I'm going to run out of ammo if I do this, you basically get an extra 2 shots out of it most of the time. Because the way that it slows time while it's going on, you actually fire way faster than you would have been able to otherwise.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So for that reason, it kind of become like, just in terms of like optimizing your DPS rotation and other such nonsense that doesn't really make sense in a first-person shooter anyway. But like you can kill things faster if you're ducking in and out of VATs.
That makes a lot of sense.
As long as you're not worried about wasting a whole bunch of ammo.
There was a guy who posted a gift to I think r/Apple4, and it was basically a VATS combo that he did that was beautiful. He it might have been a spoiler or something like that, but basically he had to take out like 4 guys, and they were kind of spread out a little bit, and he threw like one grenade, threw another grenade, like grenade left, grenade right, and then he went VATS, and he pinpointed one guy with it, or he targeted one guy with it, and then when he came out of VATS, he shot the other guy, the 4th guy, just manually, and it was beautiful. It was a symphony. He set the whole thing up, and then the drop came, and that was it. Like everybody died. It was amazing. So I can see it used in combo. That makes sense, where you could basically fire faster because you're in like the slow mo. But yeah, I just haven't mastered that yet. I'm just like run and gun. Oh god, hide behind something quick, and just try to heal up. Stim pack. Oh, stims take forever in survival, which by the way, just keep that in mind. But yeah, it's but overall an excellent game.
Yep. So, I know we're starting to run out of time here. But speaking of Fallout,
okay.
By which I mean speaking of the future.
Ooh.
By which I mean speaking of the future as imagined in the 50s. By which I mean speaking of a long time ago. By which I mean speaking of a galaxy far, far away. Space engineers came out with a planets update.
What the what the hell even? I don't even know where to begin. Wow. So yes.
Worth. Hashtag worth.
So yeah, yes, the planets update came out finally. Planets they're amazing.
I love how much I built that one up, and you thought you knew where I was going.
I knew you were going.
To the point that now you don't remember what Space Engineers is.
What am I talking about? What is this? Yeah. So yeah, the planets came out, and they're pretty fantastic, especially from a single player perspective. Right now, I'm running a subs only server, dedicated server, which we're having a couple of problems here and there. There's like some bugs that pop up, and some of the bugs are pretty bad. And this actually happened before. So they released Planets, which is a huge update and great, but they haven't released any kind of netcode fix. So we still have netcode issues. We just realized one of the newest issues that we have is like a sensor, which basically you could use to trigger other items, right? So, for example, you could set up a sensor by a door. So when a person walks by, the door opens by itself. And when they leave the sensor's field, the door closes, right? It could do a billion things. You could attach it to basically anything. So sensors apparently get stuck in a feedback loop where they repeat. They get faster and faster and faster where they're detecting things to the point to where they lock up a server. And it's like, really, that's really dumb. So now we have a rule on our server right now, no sensors. And then a new patch came out today where it's like, oh, whenever you decompress a vent, it locks up the server. It's like, well, fuck, okay, fine, no vents anymore, guys. Sorry, And it's like there's all these little stupid bugs that are coming out that come up with each update that it is like, oh, it's infuriating. But overall, the experience on planets have been pretty fantastic, and the way that the space gameplay interacts with planets is also really, really good. My first time flying to space was spectacular. We did it on the dedicated server, and so there was like 6 guys standing around watching, waiting for me to fail. One guy says, Woovie, he says, "There's a whole lot more thruster there than ship," and he was right. I basically hit the server max speed. Which we have modded up to like 500 something.
Nice.
I hit it within the first like 2 feet.
Nice.
And one of the guys thought it'd be funny and stand on my thruster while I was taking off and instantly killed him. But not only that, his foot got caught in the thruster like block. And so his body started ragdolling. It started ragdolling and pulling my ship to the side. So I had to fight the the pull of his ragdoll ass. And it happened to be on the side where like we have this like 2 kilometer tall tower spire. I started going towards it, and I almost hit the damn thing because of his ragdolling body. So I could have just hit W and went to space, but no, it turned into a mini adventure.
Nice.
And then once I got to space, I took a cargo hold full of stuff, and I built like a small outpost with an antenna that allowed me to broadcast down to the home base. And so basically the guys are on the planet, and all of a sudden they see, bro dot, which is a prefix for our faction, bro dot in space, which is what I named the antenna. And everyone was like, yeah, woohoo. And then I tried to ride I had to strip down the ship and ride it back down to the planet, and I completely failed. Ended up putting a hole in the ground. But yeah, it's just good. It's a lot of fun. And it's actually free this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just realize that it's free this weekend, so if anybody wants to check it out, you can. And also half price. They're trying to get some sales going, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah, I saw you built like some sort of enormous, like it was basically 4 wheels and a pipe. The other day I was watching you streaming.
Oh, the Cena.
And then you got wrecked by trees.
The Cena. As we call the John Cena. Actually, if you look at local antennas, it's like small ship 1975, large ship platform XXX, whatever, and then it's John Cena. I built like this monster truck, this huge truck that trees basically took me out, so I had to put a bumper on it. Who'd have thunk? But yeah, now it's basically it's a little wonky because wheel physics are kind of weird. But it's also a lot of fun to drive around in a giant monster truck named the Cena.
Nice.
It's crazy. It's fun. It's Space Engineers, so anything you could think of, it's it's not like Minecraft in space. Like Minecraft doesn't have the moving parts that this game has. They have redstone, but it's nothing like this. This actually has rotors and different types of triggers and switches and everything that all kind of interact together and open, and doors that that stack and can kind of work in conjunction with each other to perform certain functions. There's just so much stuff. And so yeah, it's basically. I mean, I have 700 and something hours in the game now, for fuck's sake. So
Jesus.
yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, it's good. Totally good.
Nice.
And so, speaking of space, the final frontier.
Okay. But is there more?
Battlefront, like something. I don't know. I'm not the guy that does these things.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of Darth Vader, champion of the Cylons.
Yes. God damn it.
So Battlefront came out. I haven't played it.
I have
You
not
haven't played it.
Nope.
Everyone seems to kind of have forgotten that Battlefront came out already.
Yeah, right?
Like, I
came
saw
out and-
JP was talking, like, when it came out, JP was streaming it for a little bit, and he seemed, I guess, marginally interested.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, like, having been a streamer for a while, like, you can kind of tell when someone's streaming it because they think people want to see it, instead of streaming it because they really want to be playing it.
Yep.
So I was kind of getting that vibe from him a little bit. Jesse Cox on Twitter was like, "This game is fucking garbage."
Yeah.
So
it
apparently
kinda
people
feels that
really
way.
hate Battlefront.
And it does kind of seem that way. It does kind of seem like it's shallow.
Yeah.
I every time we talk about a Battlefield game, I'm just like Battlefield 2142. Like just the best Battlefield of all time, in my opinion.
I played a shit ton of Bad Company 2, I think.
And I just feel I haven't played Bad Company 2, but like even in 2142, I felt like we had all this depth and all these different vehicles and all these different things we could do, and everything just felt so good. And when I watch people play Battlefront, I just don't get that. I don't get that feeling.
From watching, again, I haven't played it, but from watching streams, watching videos, it seems to be fairly true to the original Star Wars Battlefront, like, formula, which was always pretty shallow. Like, there's these big battles going on, there's a whole bunch of things fighting all the time. It's kind of like halfway between Battlefield and Dynasty Warriors, where there's just a bunch of shit going on, and you're just kind of another person, you're a champion in this army or whatever. But there's a whole bunch of shit going on, and you're just kind of running around fighting, not necessarily over anything half the time. You're just kind of running around fighting, and it's interesting from an academic perspective of, like, apparently that doesn't fly anymore. Apparently gamers nowadays, like, we need more depth. We need more, like, I need a purpose
system
to what we're doing. We need a progression system. Like, we need all this.
Unlock weapons.
Yeah, like, you remember the game Ravaged, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, that game was a ton of fun. It had no progression system. I stopped playing it after a week.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I felt like and thankfully I seem to have gotten over this because I'm able to play Overwatch without feeling like I'm wasting my time. But at the time, at least, like, I would play Ravaged, and I'd be like, well, I could be unlocking the next weapon in Battlefield.
Yeah, well, good sneeze. Comparing Overwatch to these, I
muted my microphone just in time.
No, you did. I heard it. Thump. That's how mutes work. I wouldn't even compare Overwatch with a shooter especially like with Ravaged or anything else, because the point of Overwatch is that you do have access to a shitload of different weapons, a ton of different skills, just different types of synergy and different types of support. And so that game definitely stands on its own in another genre altogether. In the more like brawler genre, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, Ravage is a great example of a game that was super fun, really great physics, lots of vehicles and everything, super shallow. In that game, you could select a couple of different weapons and whatnot. And they did introduce some unlocks, I think, later on, but it just didn't quite feel like I was getting too much done. I wasn't as I was flying, gaining experience in flying, and thus getting better at flying because I could control it better, like in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I guess that's a really good point. Like, not necessarily. Like in Ravaged, there was the flying in Ravaged, and that was something that I felt like the more I did it, the better I got at it. But the way a lot of the maps were built out, it didn't really feel like I'm going to keep playing and I'm going to get better at this game. It was just sort of mayhem the entire time, and that's the sort of thing that once you're in there and there's just crazy shit going on constantly. And I think that may be similar to the issue that Battlefront is having, because it seems to be kind of the same, is that there's just shit going on constantly, all the time, everywhere. And you don't necessarily feel like, oh, I've learned to be better at dealing with this. I've gotten better at firing this weapon or driving this vehicle or whatever. You just kind of feel like, well, this is how this fight is going, because this is how this fight goes.
Yeah.
And then you get done, and that's it. You're done now. It's hard for me to really say, yes, this is exactly the issue of the game. But it's clear that there is an issue, because if you look at Fallout 4, which is a single-player game, versus Battlefront, which is a multiplayer game, and you look on Twitch, Fallout 4 has more than double the viewers of Battlefront right now.
Yeah.
And, like, there are people streaming Fallout, but there isn't, like, it's not like there's someone in there with... Like, it's not like the sort of like Soda Poppin' situation where, oh, today Soda Poppin' is streaming Hello Kitty, so Hello Kitty is the third game on Twitch or something like that. Like, the top streamer has 5,000 viewers, then 2,000, then 1,100, then 640, then 580, then 560. Like this, and it stays above 1,000 or above 100 for quite a while.
Yeah.
The first viewer that the first streamer that does not have 100 viewers is actually DJ Wheat. So it sucks for him.
Yeah.
But Battlefront has 9,600 viewers right now, and that's only because Angry Joe is streaming it.
Yeah,
he's
got
viewers.
2,500 viewers right now,
Yeah.
and pretty much makes up a solid chunk of that. I mean, even Binding of Isaac is up there. Dungeons and Dragons, that's pretty funny. Dungeons and Dragons is up there, of course.
Dungeons and Dragons is up there because that's the Soda Poppin' situation.
Yeah.
Geek and Sundry is current. Like, Dungeons and Dragons has 17,598 viewers right now, and Geek and Sundry has 16,161 of those.
Mm-hmm.
The number 2 D&D streamer has 88 viewers right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely lackluster performance. And there's a lot of games that people don't want to watch. Overwatch is actually one of those games people don't like to watch. I was actually really surprised by that. I played a bunch of it, and people just did not stick around for it. I was able to play, what did I switch to? I switched to like Secrets of Grandia or something like that. I can't remember. I switched to another game, and I ended up getting like way more people sticking around for it. And I don't know if it was just they didn't understand the mechanics, or it wasn't a game that I could play, like to watch, because it was a first-person shooter and I wasn't godlike, which is a major factor when you're playing first-person shooters to keep people stick around. Apparently, you have to be godlike. But yeah, it's just people just aren't sticking around and watching it.
Yeah, I actually went and dug up Overwatch. It only has like, I lost it now. There it is, 596 viewers right now, which is it's still crazy to me because when it first hit, Overwatch had like 200,000 viewers on Twitch. It actually broke past that for a little while. But maybe that was the Soda Poppin' effect happening like 12 times at once.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody was streaming it. Yeah.
It's also 9:30 on a Thursday, so a lot of the like full-time streamers are usually not actually active this time of day. But yeah. Oh, and actually, you know what? The stress test weekend hasn't started yet.
Yeah, after this weekend, I'll be really interested to see what the numbers are on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really
interested.
But
that's no excuse for Battlefront's performance.
No, not at all. Like Battlefront has not made a splash on Twitch, and that's like Twitch is an interesting thing to look at metrics on, because while doing well on Twitch doesn't mean that your game does well, doing poorly on Twitch is usually an indication that your game is not doing well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'll be straight up and honest here right now. Like, Star Wars Battlefront is currently beating World of Warcraft on Twitch because right now, at this exact moment, World of Warcraft is not doing the best that it really could be. Because people are kind of tired of Warlords of Draenor, and people are hyped for Legion, and I'm hoping that once Legion beta starts in the very near future, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, really, that everything's been data mined.
As we speak.
As we speak, things are being data mined. I'm hoping that once Legion beta starts, then we'll see that kick back up again, because we're in that lull period of World of Warcraft right now. But the fact that Star Wars Battlefront just launched, and World of Warcraft hasn't come out with any, like, real meaty content in months, and their viewer numbers are very similar.
Yeah.
Like that, and one of them costs a subscription fee. Like, let's just get down to brass tacks here right now. Battlefront is not doing very well.
So you know what? I think like this time next week would be a good time to check back in and seeing where it's at, because this is still shiny new hype. Even though we can see by looking it's just Angry Joe, I'm curious, midday next week or something like that, check it and then see where the numbers are at. Because, after the first week or so, usually once a weekend kicks in, people come back from that weekend and they're just like, oh, what's the next new game? Like, they forget, and it doesn't have to be a weekend. It could be like whatever your off day is or whatever it is that you're doing, you're traveling, especially because next week is Thanksgiving. So I guess we won't have a show next week. Usually, and I'm kind of like this too. If I'm playing a game and I'm interrupted by a trip or by maybe a long weekend where I don't have an opportunity to sit down and play anything, sometimes I'll come back and I'll just forget that other game even exists and end up playing something completely different. So, yeah, interested in seeing what happens next.
You know what's crazy on Twitch? Hearthstone. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Hearthstone. It's a good game. Very solid.
It's okay.
Yeah. It's not it doesn't like hook me in the way that it hooks obviously a lot of people, but when I play Hearthstone, I enjoy my time playing it. It has no events currently going on at all. Like they're just they came out with a new expansion like a week ago. Yeah, a week ago. It's the second highest viewed thing right now, and has two people, Crip and Reynad, who have over 20,000 viewers.
It's a learning game. Like, it's a game that,
like, you watch it to learn?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Like, I can't keep up with some of the latest shit because I haven't sat down with Hearthstone. But if I sit down and I watch, instead of going and looking at what a card does, because I don't even know what cards exist, right? I could just sit there and watch a card being played by Crip or Trump or Reynad or any of those guys, and learn, and learn by watching them. And I think that's why. And I think this also plays back into the, why a game like Overwatch isn't, or even Battlefront is very viewer friendly, is because the action is happening so fast. It's difficult to really understand what's going on unless you already know what's going on. And then once you get the gist of it, well, okay, what do? Well, you point and shoot, and that's it. You make sure you hit them. Do more damage, do better, aim better. There you go, right? But Hearthstone is such a strategy, centric game where you have, up to 10 choices or whatever on what your next play is, and each one can have some kind of effect or impact on the next card that's played or in the next turn. There's so much strategy involved. So it's also slow enough that you can play it. And these guys talk you through it. Like, they're not just sitting there silent. Well, most of them aren't sitting there silent and playing. They're actually saying, well, if I play this and this is going to happen, so I don't want to do it. Like chess, you know? And they're planning their moves and everything. It's a super viewer-friendly experience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It'll be interesting once more people have access to Overwatch to see if viewer numbers start going up. If we start seeing people going, I'm going to watch someone play Overwatch. I'm going to watch a top player play Overwatch because I want to learn how they deal with these situations. Yeah, because I would expect that to be a big part of what happens with CS:GO as well. Which CS:GO obviously is also a game that's a lot slower than. Obviously, the aiming and such is still the same pace, but you spend a lot more time like setting up and carefully moving into position in CS:GO than you do in Overwatch. Where it's like, I'm just gonna run around this corner and shoot my guns,
and then I'm gonna switch heroes like 2 seconds later. Yeah, that's where they can be confusing to people who don't understand it. Yep. I think you're gonna start seeing the same thing we happened with Hearthstone. You're gonna see people who come out and they're like, okay, this person is the best. Like Reynad. Reynad was the warrior guy, you know?
Yeah.
He was like the warrior. If you weren't using Reynad's deck, then you weren't getting past 20. You know, it was just one of those things where each person kind of had their own thing they were championing, and now they obviously they've expanded. But I think you'll see people who it's like, oh yeah, this is like one of the best. You could say Mercy, or you could say maybe the best support class player streamer. Watch this guy for that. I could see that being a thing.
Yeah, for sure. And like you could always end up seeing someone who takes the whole like almost the day 9 sort of approach and is like, I'm going to explain what I did in this situation. Okay, I just died. I'm going to watch my kill cam and then tell you what went wrong for me here, what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Like there's ways to sort of be educational with games, and I think I definitely agree that like just looking at Day 9 himself and like what made him popular super early on, it was because he was taking that sort of educational approach, and that's why his friggin' dailies were outpacing half the tournaments going on early on in StarCraft.
Yeah, totally.
All right, well, I'm done talking now.
I'm done. I have to go and play video games now.
Yeah, me too. What video games are you gonna play?
Probably Space Engineers.
All right, I'm not gonna play that.
Well, fine. you had well, you were also.
I was very drunk.
You were very drunk. Okay, I'm glad you said it.
I was very drunk,
relatively inebriated. Last time.
Yeah, at some point I need an actual like sober intro to Space Engineers so that I actually can understand what you're talking about when you're like, oh, I did this and this and this, and I can do more than just be like, oh, that sounds
nod
like
your head
stuff.
and smile.
Oh, his ragdoll was causing extra drag. Oh, that sounds like a problem.
Does that sound foreign?
No.
Okay.
I'm just being a dick.
Yeah. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. One day, whenever you get a chance, just let me know, and we'll do a run through real quick.
Yeah.
I'll get you started. Give you a tour. Let you see everything.
All right. I'll drink half a box of wine.
That sounds good. All right. Well, I guess I'll see you not next week, but the week after.
Yeah. And I guess I'll see this movie that Robert Rodriguez made, Never.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 100 years or something? That sucks.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be pretty shitty, too.
Probably going to be pretty garbage, especially in 100 years. Like,
that's a lot of hype.
They'll be making way better movies in 100 years.
That's a lot of hype.
Yeah. All right. I guess we're done.
That's a lot of hype.